spiritual strength. It is the kind of surrender that angels bow to witness. A surrender that silences the storms inside a heart. To surrender the right to be offended is not the same as pretending nothing affects you. It's not numbness. It's not apathy. It's not indifference. No, it is much higher than that. It is choosing, moment by moment, not to own the offense. You feel the sting, but you do not adopt it. You see the words flung your way like arrows, but you do not let them pierce the sanctuary of your peace. You hear the tones, the criticisms, the sharp comments, but you do not wrap them around your identity. You let them pass through like wind through an open field. And how can that be? How can the heart remain soft when insulted, when disrespected, when misjudged? It is only possible when your peace is no longer negotiable, when your worth is no longer up for debate, when your soul has found its resting place, not in people's opinions, not in applause or approval, but in the quiet confidence that you are held in a greater love, a higher assurance. When that assurance fills your heart, you no longer need to react to every offense, because you are not trying to prove yourself to anyone. You are not building your identity with the fragile materials of praise or reputation. You are established, grounded, settled. So many live tormented by the actions of others, tossed to and fro by people's moods, trapped in the exhausting treadmill of reaction. Someone disrespects them, they react. Someone ignores them, they react. Someone forgets to say thank you, they react. But when the soul has been quieted like a child weaned from neediness, the offense simply has no room to land. It bounces off. It disappears into the background like a whisper lost in the roar of a waterfall. There is something beautiful that happens when you truly surrender the right to be offended. You begin to walk in a gentleness that confounds the proud. You speak with a kindness that no longer requires repayment. You smile at the very ones who tried to pull you into their storm, and you do not do it with gritted teeth. You do it with grace, because you know who you are. You are not pulled down into their drama. You are not baited into reaction. You live above, not in arrogance, but in divine serenity. Oh, how many times we have wasted precious hours trying to explain ourselves to people who do not want to understand. How many moments lost replaying conversations, rewinding insults, dissecting someone else's bad day as if their bad behavior had the power to define our worth. And all the while, peace stood at the door, waiting to be chosen. You see, when you surrender the right to be offended, you take back your power. Not the loud power of control, but the quiet power of peace. You are no longer anyone's puppet. You are no longer chained to their approval or their apology. Whether they apologize or not, whether they understand you or never do, you are free. And that kind of freedom is not given, it is claimed deep in the soul, where no one else can go. There is a holy dignity in refusing to be offended, a majestic stillness. It does not mean you never speak truth. It means you are not triggered into reaction. You are not pulled out of your rest. You are not stirred into the chaos. You speak when led. You act when moved by wisdom, not by ego. And when offense comes, and it will come, you let it knock, but you do not open the door. You say gently, "This home is filled with peace. There is no place for you here." Let others carry their wounds like weapons. Let them use their pain as permission to wound. But you, yes, you are called to something higher. You are not here to prove how strong you are by fighting every battle. Your strength is shown in how quickly you release the need to fight. Not every battle is yours. Not every insult requires a defense. Not every comment deserves your energy. Some things are best answered by silence. Some provocations are best responded to with stillness. Some offenses are best turned into prayers. And when you practice this, when you surrender that precious, poisoned right to be offended, something remarkable begins to happen. The people who once bothered you lose their power. The voices that once echoed in your mind fall silent. The need to be understood, to be validated, to be defended, it melts away. You walk taller. You sleep deeper. You love freer. Because you are no longer carrying what was never yours to carry. the burden of another's brokenness. There is a quiet and glorious revolution that takes place in the heart when one begins to live from the spirit and not from the flesh. This is not merely an adjustment in attitude or a self-help philosophy dressed up with polite language. No, this is a total transformation, a crossing over, a stepping into a dimension of life where peace is not earned but inherited, where anger no longer sits in the driver's seat, dictating your responses, your mood, your decision. It is the divine exchange, the old man for the new, the impulsive for the anchored, the reactive for the rested. The flesh is loud. It demands attention. It is easily wounded, easily provoked, quick to speak and slow to listen. The flesh wants justice on its terms. It wants to be heard, defended, vindicated. It holds on to slights and catalogues offenses. It rises in self-righteousness, always ready to explain, to prove, to retaliate. And yet it is always restless, always empty, always searching for the peace that never comes from being right, but only from being whole. The spirit, however, is gentle. The spirit is quiet. The spirit listens when the flesh would lash out. The spirit waits when the flesh would run. The spirit blesses where the flesh would curse. The spirit bows low when the flesh wants to stand tall in pride. Living from the spirit is not the easy path, but it is the path of freedom. The flesh promises quick rewards, revenge, satisfaction, validation, but it never delivers peace. The spirit promises only one thing: rest for your soul. To live from the spirit is to live from a place that cannot be shaken by someone else's mood swings or disrespect. It is to remain unmoved by offenses that once pierced you like knives. It is to look into the eyes of someone who has misunderstood you, who may never understand you, and to love them without needing anything back. It is to be calm in the middle of a storm, not because the storm isn't real, but because it no longer rules your world. Many try to suppress anger by force of will. They bite their tongues, they clench their fists, they smile while their hearts burn inside. But that is not living from the spirit. That is performing peace while hosting rage. The spirit does not suppress the fire of anger. It replaces it with the fire of love. It doesn't bottle up frustration. It dissolves it with perspective. When you live from the spirit, you no longer need to manufacture patience. It flows naturally, like water from a well that has been purified at the source. And how do you know whether you're living from the flesh or the spirit? You will feel it in the way your soul responds. The flesh feels the sting of insult and immediately wants to strike back. The spirit feels it too, but then it pauses, it breathes. It surrenders the pain into something sacred. The flesh wants to win, the spirit wants to heal. The flesh defends self, the spirit elevates love. The flesh seeks control, the spirit rests in trust. You see, the flesh reacts, but the spirit responds. And oh, there is a world of difference between the two. A reaction is immediate, hot, and often regretted. A response is considered, calm, and clothed in wisdom. The flesh cannot see beyond the moment. The spirit sees eternity in every encounter. To live from the spirit is to be so grounded, so deeply rooted in divine love, that no word spoken against you has the power to uproot you. You remain steady. You remain whole. And it's not because you're unaffected. It's because you've made a decision, not once, but daily, to let the spirit lead. You hand over your impulses. You place your emotions on the altar. You let the fire of love burn away everything that does not serve peace. The person who cuts you off, the coworker who speaks over you, the friend who forgets you, the stranger who mocks you. Each becomes an opportunity to return again to that deep place within you, where the spirit whispers, "Stay with me. Do not rise with the storm. Let me be your voice. Let me be your shield." Living from the spirit is not passivity. It is power under control. It is choosing the higher road when the lower one begs for your company. It is looking into the mirror and knowing that your dignity was never dependent on someone else's behavior. You do not have to correct every wrong. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to carry the burden of everyone else's brokenness. The Spirit teaches you to let go of what is not yours and to hold tightly to what cannot be taken. Your peace. There will always be reasons to be angry. There will always be people who provoke. The world is full of voices that invite the flesh to rise, to war, to take offense. But there is a narrow road, a hidden way, a place of still waters and quiet confidence. Few find it, fewer stay. But those who do are not shaken. They are not moved. They are not broken by words or moods or shadows. They are led by something greater than emotion, greater than pride, greater than pain. They are led by the Spirit, and where the Spirit leads, there is always peace. There is something sacred that begins to unfold in the soul when it chooses, day by day, moment by moment, to become a dwelling place for love. Not the shallow love of sentiment or the fleeting warmth of convenience, but the deep, enduring, holy kind of love that fills every room of the heart and leaves no space for bitterness to take root. When the presence of love fills every corner of your being, anger no longer finds a resting place. Resentment has nowhere to sit. Irritation, impatience, frustration, they come knocking, but they find the house already full, already occupied by something far greater. The presence of love is not merely a feeling, it is a presence. It is an atmosphere. It is a way of being. It moves through you, not only as something you offer to others, but as something you become. When love becomes the substance of your inner life, everything changes. Not just how you treat others, but how you experience yourself. You no longer live on edge, braced for offense. You are no longer triggered by the moods of those around you. You are no longer quick to react because you have been made still from within. Imagine the heart as a house. In most, there are rooms that remain locked. Rooms filled with old memories, past betrayals, hidden judgments, unspoken griefs. Many decorate the front room of their hearts with pleasantries, with polite smiles and practiced kindness. But deep inside, in the rooms that no one sees, anger lingers, suspicion lingers, pain lingers. But love does not come to decorate only the visible parts. Love wants to move into every room. Love knocks on the doors of those hidden chambers, not to judge, but to heal. Love moves through the corridors of your soul like a gentle wind, sweeping out the dust, opening the windows, letting in the light. And this love is not something you produce on your own. It is not manufactured. It is received. It is drawn down from a higher place, poured into the soul like oil into a lamp. And when it fills you, truly fills you, it begins to flow out into everything you do. You speak differently. You walk differently. You begin to see people not as threats to your peace, but as opportunities for love to overflow. Even the ones who test your patience, especially the ones who offend. You are no longer looking for reasons to be upset. You are looking for opportunities to remain in love. There is no greater freedom than this. To live unbothered, not because you've hardened your heart, but because you've opened it wide enough that offense gets swallowed up in compassion before it can ever take root. It is not that you don't see the behavior. It is that you see the brokenness behind it, and instead of letting it ignite a flame of anger, you allow it to stir a river of mercy. You see through the words, through the tones, through the postures. You see the ache beneath the anger, the fear beneath the pride, the need beneath the noise. The one who lives in love is not easily provoked because they are not easily moved. Their center is deeper than the surface. They do not anchor themselves in the approval of others. Their identity does not rest on being treated a certain way. They are rooted in something eternal. And that eternal love does not flare up in offense when it is ignored, rejected, or misunderstood. It stays. It remains. It waits. It blesses. Not because the other person deserves it, but because love cannot act against its own nature. Letting love fill every room of your soul is a process. It takes time. It takes intention. It takes moments of surrender, again and again. It takes choosing not to feed the old emotions when they rise. It takes learning to pause when the reflex to react surges forward. It takes breathing when every part of you wants to speak. It takes trusting that the reward of peace is far greater than the satisfaction of a sharp response. It is a daily consecration, a quiet offering of your inner world to something far greater than your own will. And over time, something begins to shift. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth. You no longer argue to be understood. You no longer analyze every interaction for hidden insult. You are free, not because others have changed, but because you have. You are filled. There is no emptiness left for offense to cling to. You are whole. And in that wholeness, in that fullness of love, people stop being irritants or enemies. They become mirrors, revealing what still needs healing, what still needs light, what still needs love. And rather than recoil, you lean in, not in codependence or need, but in divine compassion. You are no longer a victim of others' behavior. You are a vessel, a carrier of peace, a resting place for grace. And when the presence of love fully fills the soul, everything begins to feel quieter, lighter, simpler. The chaos of other people's drama no longer pulls you into its vortex. The heaviness of being right fades into the joy of simply being free. And even when people are unfair, when they judge, when they criticize, when they betray, you remain. You remain in love, not because it's easy, not because you're perfect, but because love has filled you to the brim, and now it overflows. There is a profound shift in the soul when you begin to see the divine in every person. It is not merely a change in perspective. It is a transformation of how you relate to the world. When you train your inner eyes to look beyond behavior, beyond attitude, beyond the layers of ego and personality, you begin to perceive something deeper, something eternal. It is not always obvious. It is often hidden beneath layers of fear, pride, and pain, but it is there, the spark, the imprint, the breath of the divine placed within every living soul. And once you begin to see it, you can never unsee it. That vision softens you, it humbles you, it silences the urge to judge and replaces it with a quiet reverence. To see the divine in others is not to excuse their behavior. It is not to deny your own pain. It is not to become passive or permissive in the face of cruelty or injustice. No, it is something much more powerful. It is choosing to recognize that every human being, no matter how broken, carries within them the fingerprint of something sacred. When someone speaks to you in harsh tones, when they disregard you, when they try to provoke you, the natural reaction is to see only the offense. But when you've trained your soul to look deeper, you begin to see a person in pain, a person who has forgotten who they are, a person who has lost sight of their own divine identity. And instead of reacting, you begin to respond with a depth of compassion that cannot be explained by logic or emotion alone. There is something holy about looking into the eyes of someone who tries to diminish you and silently honoring the divine within them. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to force a smile or pretend you're unaffected. But within your heart, you recognize the sacredness of their being, even as their actions fall far short of that truth. You begin to understand that most people are reacting from their own wounds. Their anger is often fear in disguise. Their pride is often insecurity. Their rudeness is often a cry for connection. And when you can see that, not with your mind, but with your spirit, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to live from a deeper place. There is a hidden strength in this kind of seeing. It is not loud, it does not demand attention, but it is unshakable. When you recognize the divine in someone, even when they cannot see it in themselves, you are no longer easily offended, you are no longer easily angered, because you are no longer relating to the shell they are showing you, you are relating to the essence beneath it. You are not pulled into their drama because your soul is anchored in something far more stable than surface behavior. You speak peace even when provoked. You choose stillness even when chaos surrounds you. This way of seeing others requires discipline. It requires intention. It is not something you stumble into. It is something you practice. It is a sacred habit formed in moments of stillness and solitude. You begin each day by centering your own soul, by reminding yourself of your own divine identity, so that when you step into the world, you are not grasping for validation. You are not defending yourself against imagined threats. You are overflowing with something far richer, an awareness that you are connected to every soul you meet, not by blood or opinion or agreement, but by the very breath of life itself. And from this place, forgiveness becomes easier, not because the pain wasn't real, but because you see beyond it. You forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you recognize that their worth is not defined by their behavior. You let go of grudges, not to pretend nothing happened, but to protect your own peace. You no longer waste energy carrying the weight of judgment. You bless with your thoughts. You release with your heart. You speak life where others would speak bitterness. There is a quiet authority in walking through the world with this kind of vision. You become the calm in the storm. You become the light in dark places. People may not understand you. They may think you are naive or passive, but you are neither. You are deeply awake. Awake to the truth that no one is your enemy, even those who hurt you. Awake to the mystery that even the most difficult souls have something to teach you. Awake to the presence of the sacred in the most unlikely places. And because of this, you walk in peace. You are not easily stirred. You are not thrown off course by the actions of others. You do not lose yourself trying to win battles that